will be talking about the chicken tokens.
A little bit, yeah.
Hey, how are you after lunch? Everybody's good? So we have the most challenging slot as always after lunch. Try to entertain people and fight with sleep. So everybody's good. At least, a good chunk of people are smiling or responding to my modest jokes here.
Yeah, definitely. I feel a little bit sleepy, but the stress is overpowering the sleep. So I'm like sleepy. It's very weird, but it's all good. So I think we can start, and I would really love for you to tell everyone who you are, a little bit about your background and Ignium, what Ignium is and how it got to where it is now. Very briefly.
Very briefly. That will be now the kind of in few minutes, 20 years of my life. So for the good portion of the last 20 years, I was an attorney. And I was practicing finance law, capital markets, financial services, corporate finance, effectively dealing with the issues, how businesses, whether they be small, medium, large, could get money to drive their business. So I was in the law firm called Sorainen. Here it's a regional law firm in Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Belarus, and working there as a partner. So during my work, I kind of, I had an ample chance to see how companies are actually struggling with having the access to the capital and how big of a pain that is. So then came the year of, many interesting years of working, seeing different company stories, hundreds and hundreds of them. And then came 2017 and 18 and the ICO bubble all around it. And then I saw that it's kind of, wow. It's, so many things, though, which were potentially wrong with the ICOs, right? There were governance failures. There were disclosure failures. So effectively, companies didn't give enough information about them. There were management failures. People didn't know what they do. There were integrity failures. People actually took the money and ran away with it. And nobody could do anything really about it, right? Though so many things were wrong, there are a few things which worked just beautifully. And that was how the money, let's call the crypto and money, was moving around seamlessly across the borders, from Brazil to Japan, Japan to Estonia, from Estonia to US. And if you compare it with a conventional financial system, it's like a miracle. It's like a music. So then I thought, what if instead of crypto and not only ICOs, but the regular companies could raise the money the same way, connect with their investors across the globe the same way, what could happen? World would not be the same place, right? So many more companies could attract funding. So many more companies could be developed more. So much entrepreneurial ambition could really drive. And how much jobs and wealth and good things could happen. So one thing led to another. This idea didn't let me to sleep. And on 2020, I left my long-term partnership, leaving it all behind, and founded Ignium. That was a short story before Ignium. Now comes the short pitch, what Ignium does. So we make capital available for small and micro businesses. What does that mean? We don't give them capital. We make it available. Financial systems in general, they fail to provide money to the small and micro companies. And when I'm saying small and micro companies, I don't mean startups, technology startups, because the markets are not failing on them. They have business angels, they have VCs, they have many sources where to get capital from. For the larger companies, there are private equity funds, there are banks, there are, again, many opportunities who are competing to give money to them. But small businesses, 1 to 10 employees, revenue less than 1 million, who actually make 90+% of the companies in the entire world, who provides 95% of the jobs in the world and make the same GDP in the world, nobody deals with them. So our goal is to make capital available for them. So how do we do that? We connect their communities with the companies. So hence, we're not intermediating money. We are giving companies ability with our product to issue NFTs, to mint NFTs, to design NFTs, sell those NFTs to their community. Remember the previous talk, how important is the community regarding the NFTs. NFTs with community are just digital pieces with the JPEGs attached to them. That's it. It's a one lonely graveyard of pictures without community. But you put the community with it, magic happens, right? It all becomes live. So that's why also our customers, we expect them, at least on this early phase, to have community. So the customers are coming to our platform, they have a community, so they design and issue NFTs, they sell the NFTs to the customers. Customers give them money in return. Remember, small companies having the capital, access to the capital problem. So now they have the capital. Community is even more engaged with the NFTs, and hence they thrive. So this is what we do. We make capital available from the communities. And this is our very first NFT project. This one, Digital Chicken. So the story about the egg farm. So there was this, well, it's like a fairy tale. There is a company, small company in Saaremaa called Saaremaa Mahemuna, which is kind of like a, you could say Saaremaa ecological eggs. And what they do is they have a farm of free-range chicken. And they sell the eggs, and customers love those eggs, right? And it's going to be, it's a decent farm. I believe it was 2,000 or 3,000 chicken there. And, decent supply of eggs, and customers love it. And above all, the owner of that company in a few years developed very sizable community, extremely engaged community. So, but like many small businesses, the company was struggling with the money. So he went to bank, and the bank couldn't even give him a loan of 2,000 euros. That's how bad it was. And it was desperately urgent. So he reached out to the community and asked, if I was selling you the NFTs, would you be interested? Simply to engage you more and save the business. And the community offered more than 300,000 euros. The company was accepting 65. So in practice, what we did, we designed and minted for them 650 different digital chicken, like a digital chicken farm, right? The digital twin of the real life. So the customers were coming, and the community members, and buying those digital chicken, which are not just chicken, but those digital chicken are actually laying eggs. So what are the eggs? Because every single NFT has embedded financial instrument in them. So there is a profit sharing agreement. So once a year, this chicken will be laying eggs, which show out as euros in your Ignium account. You can buy more NFTs with those. You can withdraw them as you please, right? But so there is also this financial incentive. Hence, the community members became team members. They became brand ambassadors. So that's not the very short intro, how I, as a capital markets lawyer, became, provider of the chicken farms.
That's a very interesting story. And this is, I think, one of the examples how you can utilize the Web3 space, or in this case, NFTs, to raise some funds and help your project. Even when it's a great, I'm shocked to hear this story. I didn't know the whole story behind this, but I buy those eggs, and I had no idea that it was a struggling farm or farmer, and using the Web3, the NFTs, to save his business. That's amazing. That's an amazing way to do it. So we talked a lot about building communities here. We talked about how to start a Web3 project. You need to start not just with an idea, not just with art, but you need a community. And both Polina and Ben made some really good points. But from my experience, I think a lot of Web3 guys, they're missing a key component of this. And one of the key components is the business side. Let me tell you from my experience. So Rage Pops is one of, when I mentioned Rage Pops before, Rage Pops 64 is a collection that I did, and I did it the way I thought was right, you know, from my business experience, my marketing experience, and it's a very steadily growing project. Now, we had another project called Zen Frogs that you could say in an NFT space failed miserably. So we had 10,000 frogs, had an influx of people over like several hours. It was 1,500 people in our Discord server. Then a few days later, it was 5,000. It was absolutely insane. And people were so active and they were talking. They're like, guys, you're going to go to the moon. You're going to fly big. And I thought, this is easy. And our consultant was saying, yep, everything is going well. That's all you need to do. Just talk to the people and focus on the sale. And the sale is just focused on the day when you push the button and it all goes live and people buy it. So that's what we did. And I'm like, okay, my business mind turned off. My marketing mind turned off. And I was just focusing on talking to people and waiting for the sale. When the sale came, which was after a couple of delays because of the war in Ukraine, and we didn't feel it was right, like 30 people minted it in the first day. The second day, it was another 70. So it was 100 out of 10,000 NFTs. So in an NFT space, that's a fail. And loads of people said that's a dead project. And I think what, from my opinion, what was missing here is the business side. I didn't think about the business at all. I just focused on the sale. First, I would like to ask you whether you think some projects, or maybe just in general, the Web3 space is not thinking about business enough, or not thinking about customer development enough, not thinking about why they do this. What is the mission? What does a customer need? What do you think?
Well, that's excellent question, and I believe that was also asked here earlier, right? And in general, I would say, you know, you could compare that it's kind of a developing a customer base and developing community is kind of the same thing. While there are many similarities, in my opinion, still they are different. Because when you develop the customers, mostly whether you do sales or whether you do marketing, you do it with the aim to capture the value, right? And what is the capturing of the value? It is all directed towards the same point, what you just said, you know, sale. And the sale point of sale is when you capture the value from the client. Whereas with the community, you should forget about capturing value. Simply forget about it. Simply, selflessly ask, what can I do for those people? And in the evening, ask from yourself, did I do anything for my community? Regardless of whether they're giving anything back. And only that's, you know, the way of kind of saying, I did something for the community. And so there are differences, in my opinion, though very similar. I used to be in Saarinen, the law firm where I used to work, responsible for the business development. And I've been training, you know, close to 200 people. There was extensive training what I was running on business development. And there's a 4-day-long training, 2 days, you know, 6 months in between, and another 2 days. I trained close to 200 people. So many, many man hours that have been put into interviewing and training people. And so what I can say, this philosophy for what we had was also similar, helping clients succeed, right? But there is this very important, you know, sales funnel coming down the road. You help them with the aim that they would buy. And that's the big difference with the community, I believe. With the community, they don't have to buy. I'm just happy, guys, you are around. You are maybe the way to think about it. And this is a new thing for me as well. You know, I'm very new to community building, even though I may be speaking elaborately here. I don't even know why I'm speaking here, because I'm not that expert in community building at all. But point here being that it's community is rather like a team development. Maybe you're not expecting your team would buy anything from you, right? You're selflessly building your team. This is your extending team. And maybe that's the way to compare the difference here. Is it still business? Oh, yes, big time. Because is team important for the business? Oh, yes, right. This is the #1 thing, right? And perhaps the community should not be viewed as a customers, but rather as team, and hence the team community building. And imagine the team of 10,000. Imagine, you know, being there together, not because of the salaries, but because of the enthusiasm. And that's why those big communities are moving mountains, right? And, you know, in Ignium, we are trying to build exactly on that. Companies who have communities, right, to help them. I'm not sure if I answered the question.
No, that was very good. I think this one point, when you have an idea, let's say you're a startup, and one of the best ways to approach validating your idea before you even, or validating that, you know, the idea, sorry, let me restart. You have an idea that people have a problem. And then the best way to actually even understand whether this problem exists is something called, let's say, design thinking, where you go and you talk to people who potentially could have this problem. You don't ask them, do you have this problem? You ask them, how do you do this thing? How do you use your phone? And then you try to figure out, you watch them, you interview them, and you figure out that they're using their phone in a certain way. Therefore, your product that solves, let's say, makes it for them to use their phones easier, it can be useful. So the problem exists. Can this be applied to the NFT space where you're selling art? And a lot of people are thinking, this is what I'm doing. I'm selling art. Why do I need to do any customer development, like approach it? Why do I need to interview people? Why do I need to research the market? What the people want? Do you need to do this in an NFT space where you're just selling pictures?
At least we do, because, you know, our customers, again, those small and micro companies, they are the first timers to NFTs. Their customers, the community members, are usually, I would say, dare to say 98+% doing their first ever crypto transaction in their lives. Usually they would be the late adopters. So for us, it's a big time question always. Would they buy anything like that? And all this design thinking, what you're describing, right, Alex, is effectively about, you know, inquire about customer needs without asking for the solutions. That's what it's all about, right? And of course you have to do that. And even though I said before, you know, community members is your like team, but at the same time, they have this client hat on them as well. Team members kind of having the client hat on as well. And of course, they are in a unique position to provide you this, you know, insights. And in my opinion, all those things what you mentioned, you know, usually done in a product development, which are much more challenging to do in Web3, where you don't have kind of, you know, a designated client group, and it's kind of much more community based. And if you take the true Web3 products, in my opinion, I'm coming with a kind of a conventional business understanding, they are still essential. Because in the end, what are we asking? What is the solution? What satisfies our community needs? So we better figure out what the needs are, right? And is there a better way than talking and researching? Probably not, right? So absolutely, I'm fully on that.
Awesome. So then the next question is two sides, art or business. And what I mean by this is some NFT projects are just pure art. They want to launch an art collection and they want it to just be an art collection. Now, some attach a utility to their NFT, like you said, with this collection, the NFT holders get some reward or a percentage. Do you need to add utility to NFTs to attract more people, or is it really down to marketing and community building?
Well, I believe you just answered it before, right? It comes down to what our community wants, right? And if our community wants utility, we better provide utility, because otherwise it end up like, you know, putting the square peg in a round hole, right? It's kind of the community wants, give me some, you know, I don't know, give me some French fries, but we say we only have spaghettis. No, I still would like to have some French fries, but we have spaghettis, right? What's wrong with the spaghettis? There's nothing wrong with the spaghettis, but we want French fries. So that's the same thing there, right? It's effectively what the community wants. And for me, always when you say whether it's art or business, it's kind of a fun way of kind of, how to say, confronting those two. But is it really different? Because the business is when you provide value to somebody and they are giving you something in return. And art can be a business. If the community wants just art, give them art. But the key question comes down to, is there a community and what they want? So that's why I believe it's kind of art can be a beautiful solution for the community if that's what they want. If somebody pays for that, it's a beautiful business.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'm a little bit conscious about time, so I would really love to get some questions from the audience. Do you have any questions related to the Web3 space, or let's say the NFT space, about art or business? Or maybe you want to launch your collection. How would you go about it? I don't know. What questions would you like to ask?
Award is still out there.
Why are you turning off the mic when I take it? Okay.
Thank you. My question is if, as a fundraising, what are the impact measurements, or what are the important key points that you evaluate to make a decision when you invest to this type of project or other type of project? So what is about
Is that a question where I invest?
Yes. Well, and also if well, it is also that, but at the same time, if there are some key points about impact, what is the impact on the society about investing in one type of project?
I try to answer that question, not in me format, but what I've got from the user interviews, because I think it's quite representative, because I've been discussing to the buyers of NFTs who are buying NFTs, which have been sold by our customers. And what they bring out is, above all, they buy into values. So values, what the company represents. Whether it's, for example, in this particular case, it was humane treatment of animals, right? Ecological products. Then secondly, people also appreciate the fun element of that. They often say, I always wanted to have a chicken, but I'm living in Tallinn in an apartment. Where will I put the chicken? So now I have a digital one, right? And finally, they appreciate the financial element. No one I've ever heard, to whom I speak, there are, of course, different examples out there, are buying it because of the capital gain. And what is capital gain? You expect the price to rise, right? This kind of a Lamborghini picture, or what was here before. So that it's kind of are you kind of buying crypto to get a Lamborghini, right? It's kind of I haven't heard any of those NFT buyers that I've spoken to, communities of our customers, that they would buy it for the capital gain. And it's kind of very much coincides how I view it myself. This one personally, this is actually a picture of my own NFT, right? From that collection. I simply, even if somebody offered me a 10x back, it just cost, 100 euro. If somebody would offer me 1,000, I wouldn't sell. That's my only one. Right? That's my ticket to the community.
Any more questions right there, I think? Oh, yeah, thank you.
I really like the project of the chicken funds, but I wonder, how did you manage to explain to the community the NFTs in general?
That's a lovely question. And I think worth of considering the award there somewhere in the end. Not because it's a silly, but it's actually a good question. So I give you a story back. It's a short story, bear with me. So it's a kind of a egg farm in Saaremaa, right? The biggest island in Estonia. So, and the farmer himself is about, my age, 40 plus, close to 50. So, and his mother is a woman hair cutter or kind of hair maker in Saaremaa. And her mother is somewhere around, 70. and her clients also around 70 or so. Different, grandmothers coming in and, spending their days and having their hair made. And, after this sale was over, then one of her clients, the farmer's mother's customers, one of those, older ladies coming in and says, when can I get more chicken? Because those chicken are already out. Everything is sold. I just checked the platform. So people, the answer to your question is, they don't view this as a dubious crypto. And we clearly are not speaking about it like that. We speak about it. It's a digital asset giving you access to the community. And furthermore, it's the open society. Hence, you can transfer the NFTs out of Ignium. We are not closed platform, right? You can put them in OpenSea if you want, right? And for going forward, it's kind of from every secondary market sale, there is a secondary market. The farmer will make the fee, the artist will make the fee. So it's kind of it's contributing on many directions. That's the language what we speak, and that's what people understand. So we're not speaking about, it's a Bitcoin B or Bitcoin 2.0 or something like that.